Passionates, hear this and hear this clearly. Say and feel what you want about me, but I'd rather be a failure than a fraud.
Passionate public service announcement. Passionate.
Let me tell you something.
So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for Passion No Last Necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast.
Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to episode 10 of season 8 for real this time of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, Passion No Last Necessary, your Get You Right Guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I've observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, for yourself, and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel what you feel, same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. If you're new here, affirmations are our first order of business, so we can intentionally raise the vibration and start on one accord. Let's get on the same frequency. If you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath. You are always welcome to repeat after me or to use this time to state your own affirmations. I am honest. I am open. I am forthright. I am truthful. I am sincere. I am plentiful. I am accomplished. I am fruitful. I am triumphant. I am enough. I am well. It is well. All is well. Well is all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So passionates, you know I unintentionally took the full calendar year off in 2025 with the exception of the Tribute to Roberta episode. One of the things I was focused on last year was financial reset and growth. I spent a lot of time listening to and watching different investors and traders and taking notes on what they were talking about. Intelligence isn't just having the knowledge, but applying it, right? So I did just that. I flourished in some areas, in others, not so much. But I was dedicated to my learning. I found someone offering free mentorship, going live twice a day, and hosting a community to teach their method of trading. Within less than 30 days, it went from
God put it on my heart to teach you for free
to
I talked to my friend who said God told you to teach for free, not mentor.
now, unless God told this third party,
I need a mouthpiece, so go tell them to start charging because I can't do it myself.
I don't know why they took their initial direction direct from God, then felt like they should redirect and listen to their friend. But truthfully, I'm not mad at it now, and I wasn't mad then. They were working directly with people round the clock, and that's time and energy consuming. And truthfully, sometimes, no. Knowing that you helped a bunch of people get to the next level isn't enough. Not if it's depleting you, and not if it's preventing you from being able to attend to anything else. So it went from free to $100 a month. Some opted out immediately. Others, they said,
I don't believe in what you've been teaching, so I'm willing to make the investment.
I was one who was willing to make the investment. My stay in the community, however, was cut short, abruptly. Based on the relationship myself and this mentor had built to that point and the interactions we'd had, I offered suggestions from a consumer perspective and from the digital marketing perspective when they said they'd raise the price on one of their offerings due to low response. The responses to my messages were positive. No indicators that this person felt wronged in any way, nor should they have, because everything that was suggested was tips on what they could use to entice people to purchase this offering. I never said what they were doing was wrong. I never said it was ineffective. I never personally attacked them in any way. This conversation was on a Wednesday evening. I did a double that night. So when I got off work at 8 a.m., I knew I was too tired to watch charts and make a good entry, so I went straight to sleep. I didn't make any trades that day, and I wasn't in the community space. The following day, we're talking about Friday now, I got up, I got in the market, I made a trade, I shared my results, no response. No biggie. I attempted to log into the daily Zoom. I was removed. I was unable to rejoin because I was removed by the host, which is this same mentor, and to date, I never received a response when I asked why I was removed from the meeting when I was trying to join. Not only was I removed from the meeting, I was removed from the community entirely. Then, after continuously boasting of how they had no problems removing people and giving them their money back because they already had millions, it took a whole 30-day credit card dispute to get my money back. I was so taken aback by this whole occurrence. I had no idea what had happened and where all of this came from, but eventually the rumor mill let it slip that the day after we were texting, when I wasn't there because I was in my bed sleeping after a 16-hour shift and being up all day prior to my 16-hour shift, that this individual went into the room and was acting very bizarrely and throwing indirect shots under the very false impression that I was somewhere in the room trying to hide. Now, passionates, y'all see this 4-foot picture of me on this wall? That's the same picture that comes up in the square on my Zoom if my camera's off. Y'all know the megaphone logo? That's my background when my camera is on. Hiding where? Like, are you okay? The rumor mill also let it loose that the Friday that I actually did attempt to enter the Zoom sent this individual into a full spiral where they spent like a good 30 minutes talking about me like a dog, slandering me, calling me all kinds of failures, and questioning how I could dare to be so bold as to offer them advice on how to run their business when I'm unsuccessful in mine. Now, from what I hear, it was an Oscar-worthy performance. But the best part is that the advice that they were so incensed to receive, they applied. And wouldn't you know it, it worked. Would you look at that? Now, passionists, y'all know your Get You Right guru is a receipt keeper, so you know I can produce screenshots on the drop of a hat. The reason I didn't use the supporting evidence today is because that person is a non-factor. If you don't walk it like you talk it, you're not moving anything with me, okay? If you talk crazy about me, but aren't bold enough to say it to me, your silence has said all it needs to. You're not about that confrontation life if you wildly slander someone in a space where they can't defend themselves. And since nothing was said directly to me, for all intents and purposes, the rumor mill could have just been churning out gossip for the sake of entertainment. What I was saying was the sake of entertainment, but my alarm went off. Now, I know that's 1,000% false, but we'll leave room for the argument. I brought this up today not because we just did an episode on these Christians who misrepresent the spirit of Christianity in the ugliest way. In that community, we started and ended everything with prayer, and they were another proud soldier in the army of the Lord. I brought it up because a few things have been recurring for me in the past few days and months. Some of it is probably related to my approaching solar return, and some of it is divine messaging. Chosen. One who is the object of choice or of divine favor, an elect person. Chosen has come up repeatedly. Let me start by saying that I'm not saying that I'm one of God's chosen. I gotta leave with that because people turn their ears off and turn their egos up to hear what they want to hear and condemn you because of their willful lack of comprehension. So again, I'm not saying that I'm one of God's chosen. I'm not saying that I'm not. I am saying that chosen has come up repeatedly, and I think that as people, the idea of being part of an elite group outweighs the responsibility. I think that a lot of people have a false perception of whether or not they are actually in the chosen few, and I think there's an incorrect equating of chosen to special or loved. To be chosen is to be tried by fire. I just said that last week, right? That with most of these religions, you can show up to a gathering space, read a book, make a declaration, and you're in. Because we all experience trials and tribulations, many feel like that then defaults them to being a chosen among men, and it does not. In this here earth simulation, none of us are getting out alive, and no one is getting out unscathed. Some of us are going to go through some relatively mundane but no less traumatic experiences. Others of us are going to experience the worst of the worst, the fully explained in detail and still wildly unimaginable because it's just too heinous to even picture in your mind's eye, and that still doesn't mean you're the chosen one. And that can make you feel like,
Well, then for what is it worth? Like, what?
and that's not an unreasonable question, but I don't know what your spiritual contract is, and I don't why some of these terrible finds are on any of our scavenger hunt lists. Nonetheless, the chosen is often the one who is to speak up, speak out, and that sounds easy enough, but that also means they open themselves up to ridicule, judgment, persecution, death threats, and even actual attacks on their life. They may be martyred or vindicated at some point, or they may be forever mocked or demonized. From that perspective, being chosen doesn't sound like anything to be desired, much less lived through. Chosen doesn't mean liked, respected, appreciated, valued. Chosen doesn't mean welcome or included. Chosen doesn't mean protected or safe. Chosen means you're in for the wildest ride, and all you're going to be able to do is trust that it's all working to your highest good and to the harm of none connected to you. To your highest good, not necessarily to your desired result. I was in my think tank, and it came to me that purpose has similar confusions around it. Sometimes we think the thing we're passionate about is our purpose. Passion is not purpose, and purpose is not passion. You can be purposed to do something you have a total aversion to. You can be purposed to do something you resent. You can be passionate to the point of obsession about a thing, and that thing is not in any way what you're supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to do and what you enjoy doing are often worlds apart. Important to note, because sometimes we think we figured out our purpose or our calling, and we've only scratched the surface. I'll give you an example. Officer Casey believes that he is called to law enforcement on whatever level. He started out doing security and has moved up to a police officer. He's worked at different agencies. On his days off, he works part-time doing private security for me. What drives and motivates him is working in this field. He loves it. It's not his calling, though. Now, whether his calling is to be a peacekeeper, and this is just the avenue that he took to get there, or his calling is something totally separate and aside, police work being his pleasure is not his purpose. Sometimes what we're being called to is significantly deeper under the surface. Source wants Officer Casey to learn fairness, to learn how to engage with people in high-stress situations, how to look at things objectively and judge a situation after all the facts are available, not just jump to whatever conclusions and run off into the sunset. That's the purpose. That's the calling to higher self. Many jobs and career paths could have gotten him there. None of them would have been his purpose or calling. They all would have simply been the vehicle to get him on the path to self-realization and self-actualization. Does that make sense? Drop a megaphone if it does, and drop a bookmark if we need to come back to this. When I select clips from previous episodes to add to current episodes, I usually end up rewatching that episode multiple times. In the last episode, I clicked in this statement.
The problem is people like me finding delicate ways to speak to your fragility because everybody saying they want the truth can't handle the truth.
Pandering to people's fragility is pick-me behavior. It's prioritizing likability over the assignment. It's knowing my 1/8 billionth rule and being concerned about follower numbers dropping instead of standing firm in knowing that the numbers are an illusion and my assignment isn't to deliver it the way so-and-so and such can stomach it. My assignment is to release the message, and when the student is ready, the teacher or the message will appear. Every episode, I say I won't sugarcoat what I have to say to make it more palatable, and because the ego is fragile, people don't realize this is the delicate delivery. This is me being mindful that you may feel personally attacked. People tell me all the time,
Your message isn't for everybody.
That is 100% false. Truth is for anybody who is willing to accept it. The message is for anybody, but many bodies don't want to accept it. I tell y'all all the time that there are episodes that I wrestle with because I'm concerned about the reception, but the reception isn't my business. My responsibility is to drop off the message. The calling isn't to stardom and celebrity. The calling is to be bold and fearless as the messenger, regardless of listenership. 35 views or 35,000, 1 like or 100,000 likes, 1 subscriber or 1 million. The calling isn't to impartation, that's my default. I've never been a gatekeeper. I happily share information and viewpoints, often to my detriment, as I've shared with you in the last few episodes. The calling is to become comfortable with being set apart, not set above. This is not about being better than anyone else. My assignment is different, so different rules apply and different requirements have to be met.
Okay, Passion, how does that tie into the mentorship story time?
Passionate, hear this and hear this clearly. Say and feel what you want about me, but I'd rather be a failure than a fraud. I've never gone into any space and pretended to be something I'm not or pretended to have something I didn't.
About failure. Specifically, let's look at definition 2, definition 3, and definition 4. Definition 2A is lack of success. Definition 2B, of failing in business. Definition 3, of falling short, deficiency. Definition 4, one that has failed. Now let's look at what fail means. Fail is to lose strength, to fade or die away, to stop functioning normally, to fall short, to be or become absent or inadequate, to be unsuccessful, to become bankrupt or insolvent. The transitive verb state is to disappoint the expectations or trust of, to miss performing an expected service or function for, to be deficient in, lack, to leave undone, neglect, to be unsuccessful in passing, to grade as not passing.
So passion is by these definitions. How could someone reasonably call me a failure? Because I haven't yet peaked? Because I haven't reached a certain level at this point? I took on the moniker Passion No Last Necessary in March 2009. I established the name What One Woman Does in 2014. It's 2026. I've never once rebranded. Restarted? Yes. Built a brand new identity and tried to separate myself from whom I previously was? Never. Every hit and every miss have all been under the same name. I didn't go from Instagram to TikTok and say I've never done what I'm doing here and try to deceive people as though I was helpless and stumbling my way through. Try to convince people that my long-standing relationships were newly established and just instant connections. Or try to convince people that I was doing something from my heart when my motive was always driven by something more. I've never tried to pass myself off as passive and patient. I have zero tolerance for stupidity and less tolerance for disrespect. I choose how I'm going to respond to situations because I've evolved to that level of maturity. I don't try to present one way when I know I'm living a double life and it's only a matter of time before the veil falls, because that would make me like my accuser. That would make me a fraud. I'd rather have fallen short of someone else's opinion of success than be anyone other than who I say I am. I've always been 100% of who I am and have been transparent about the triumphs and disappointments, and I'll continue to do so. As for you, passionates, I leave you with this. If you believe or know you are chosen, know that the road will be uneven in some places. There will be times when it's uphill and you have to drag or push a heavy cart. There will be times when it's finally downhill, but your brakes ain't working right. Know that the road will be lonely in a lot of places, but you won't be alone. There is a team assigned to you and you will need to lean on them. Do so unapologetically. If you think you're chosen but you're uncertain, lean into your relationship with Source and ask for your divine purpose to be revealed to you. Ask if you're here to give or to get. Ask for ordered steps and divine guidance. Ask Source to light the way for you. If you feel like you're not chosen, that's not a slight. This isn't dodgeball. Being chosen is about selecting the one who is equipped for the job. If you can't manage minor conflicts, you could easily descend into the abyss if you have to go up against unhinged, unfiltered, unregulated maniacs on the internet who have nothing better to do than run your blood pressure up. You know how they say man's rejection is God's protection? Sometimes not being God's selection is the protection. Very important that you do not leave without hearing this. Your assignment is between you and Source. The divine timing of your life is between you and Source. People on the internet don't dictate your success, even if they're cash rich and you're not, even if they're follower rich and you're not, even if they have everything you've ever wanted. If you feel like you're failing, then you talk to Source about what to do next or better. If you feel like your life isn't moving fast enough, I caution you to consider what acceleration entails. Some of us feel like we aren't where we should be by now, and we got another 100 years of living ahead of us. So if you're 35 and feel like you failed because you haven't obtained XYZ status, what will you do if you accomplish it by 40? Because if you have 100 years left on your time card right now, you got to figure out 95 years of things to keep you busy. And with acceleration, there are great things that will come infinitely faster, and bad things will come at the same rate. Don't rush your life, friend. You don't know what's waiting for you around the bend. My solar return is in 11 days, but my activation is already in progress. Am I about to ramp it up and start talking to y'all sideways? Nah, that's unnecessary. I am going to worry less about how it's received. I remember being at church one day and a deacon said to me, God calls you his apostle. I'm just a messenger carrying out the mission. I'm doing what I'm called to do, and I beseech you to do the same. If you have questions or you need some advice, send your listener letter to my brilliant friend passion@gmail.com. If you would like to make a financial donation to support this podcast, you can do so via the Linktree, Zelle, or PayPal. Links are in the description box. Sharing the episode is always free, and you are free to share with whomever you'd like. Copy and paste the link wherever. Screen grab your favorite clip, post it on the socials. Help me, help others, help themselves. That's it, and that's all, Passionate. You get you right, guru. It's signing off. Y'all go for it. Be great, be filled with bliss, be armed and empowered with knowledge. Remember that you're only a failure if you stop trying altogether. Remember that God has the final say. Be true to yourself, be true to others. In all things, be passionate. See you later.